Current Trends Case Brief, Liu vs. Carleton University. Citation: Liu vs. Carleton University, 2013, HRTO 118. Facts: the applicant, Ms. Liu, was a student in the Carleton University's Master's in Architectural Studies program, effective the fall of 2006. During her studies, the applicant made several requests to extend the time for completing the academic requirements associated with her program due to health problems. The requests were approved, the last of which required her to complete her program requirements by August 2010. The applicant did not complete her requirements by this date. On or about August 31, 2010, the applicant made her final request for an extension. The respondent requested a report on the progress of the applicant's thesis by November 2, 2010, in order to consider her request. The applicant did not provide the report, and on November 12, 2010, the respondent advised the applicant that she had exceeded the time limit for completing the program requirements and was ineligible to register in future terms. Issues: Number 1. When should accommodation be allowed? Number 2. What are the applicant and respondent's views on Ms. Liu's health condition and her inability to meet the degree requirements? Rationale. Issue number 1. The applicant alleges that once the respondent was provided with notice of her disability indicating she has suffered from a tumor in thyroid gland, which occurred on December 15, 2010, the respondent had an obligation to engage in a dialogue with her and provide her with suitable accommodation to complete her studies. Instead, the applicant alleges she was formally withdrawn from her program. The respondent did not make a positive response to the applicant's claim. Therefore, it can be assumed that the university did not engage Ms. Liu in a conversation of an extension consideration on her studies afterwards, until Ms. Liu realized the possible failing outcome and brought up the issue herself. Rationale. Issue number 2. The applicant argued that it is irrelevant whether or not there is a link between her disability and her failure to meet the requirements of her final extension in August 2010. The applicant believed that once she disclosed her disability, the respondent had a duty to engage in an accommodation dialogue, inquire about her needs, and assist her in completing her studies. The respondent took an opposite position and answered that if the applicant had provided medical evidence to substantiate a link between her disability and her failure to meet the academic requirements in August 2010, the respondent's duty to accommodate would be triggered, notwithstanding that the disability occurred after August 2010. However, the respondent argues that the applicant did not make such a link, and therefore there was no obligation to inquire further into the issue of the applicant's disability in the appeal process. Analysis. In Carleton University's Accessibility for Persons with Disabilities policy, it states that persons with disabilities have the same opportunity and benefit from the same service as others. Apparently, Ms. Liu was granted the permission of extension in the first place. However, the issue came up after she failed to meet the deadline to submit her work continuously, and according to Ms. Liu, it was again due to her health condition. So the problem here is, how serious is Ms. Liu's illness? Neither school nor Ms. Liu can determine that, but only a doctor's note stating that Ms. Liu needs to be hospitalized, and during this time she'll be unable to finish her project, and therefore she should be granted an extension on her studies. According to the current situation, it was perhaps the doctor's note did not indicate the seriousness of Ms. Liu's illness to the degree that leads the university to think that this should be considered as an extenuating circumstance, and therefore rejected Ms. Liu's request to extend her term period. Results: the application is moved to the next stage in the hearing process. Survey question: do you think Carleton University should still grant Ms. Liu the permission to complete her master's, even though she had proved to fail submitting work on time? Explain your reasoning.